Hey guys, Dan Allen here. Hey, just sharing with you today a couple of just some thought experiment sort of things. Often I should often for me it's been a long time, but every year, pretty much at the beginning of the year, I get asked why I spend so much time doing activities where I get to know my students. And aren't you worried you're not going to have enough time to cover all the content? And I say to that, if I don't establish confidence that my students know that I care about them as human beings, I'm going to have a harder uphill climb to get them to learn stuff. So the investment that I put into them early and getting to know who they are and getting to know their story pays off in dividends down the road when it comes time to learn stuff and pick up and go on. So here's what I learned. I was reading a book called What You Say When You Talk to Yourself. Excellent read. And it talks about the input cycle. Input is basically anything we get. If you get somebody tells you something when you're young, if you listen to it on the radio, listen to something on the news, let's not get started there, but any kind of input from anywhere is input. So what your friends, family, relatives, influences of any sort tell you, or what you listen to, or what you read, or all those sort of things are input. And those inputs lead to your belief. Now think about that for a second. You have to validate the input. So when somebody says to you, you're not very smart, you can decide if that person has validity to say that or not. So let me give you an example. If you're a young kid and you have a teacher, say in fourth grade, who says you're not very good at math, that kid's going to believe that. They're going to internalize that. Well, adult tells me I'm not good at math. That must mean I'm not good at math. And if they don't believe in the growth mindset, which most fourth graders don't probably have that established yet, they're going to go on believing that because this adult said, I'm not good at math, that I'm not very good at math. Well, here's the thing. Let's say you're an adult and you have a 5-year-old who says, you're stupid. You say, you're 5. You dismiss that very quickly because they have no validity to say so, but kids don't know that. Adults that give them input that's contrary to what they believe changes their belief. So my first statement is input leads to belief. Now, input leads to belief is a fact. Our inputs, we choose to decide if the input is valid. But if once we decide the input is valid, that leads to a belief. Think about that. When's the first time you knew you were good at something? Usually it's like a sport or something with your little, and you go, oh, I'm pretty good at this, because there was some form of input or feedback that you got from your friends or from parents or somebody and said, yeah, you're pretty good at that. Then, once you establish a belief, input leads to belief, and then that belief leads to your attitude towards that belief. So an input creates a belief. Let's see where we're going to start here. Input creates a belief. That beliefs, once the belief is strengthened, creates an attitude, and now we're on our way. Okay? So input leads to belief. Belief leads to attitudes. Attitudes lead to actions. So think about the sports analogy. Some little kid's good at baseball. Their parents can say, oh, you're really good at this, and they play, and they kind of self-evaluate. So I guess I am pretty good at this. Now their attitude towards baseball changes. They say, well, I want to do that more because I'm good at it. Then attitude leads to action, and then action leads to results. So let's review the cycle. Input leads to belief. Belief leads to attitude. Attitude leads to action. Action leads to results. Now, if the results are different than what you initially thought, the result can actually turn out to be the input cycle for the new cycle. So again, input leads to belief, which leads to attitude, which leads to action, which leads to result. Now think about that. Think about the power of that when you start a school year and you have an opportunity to add value to your students and get to know them, and you make sure they know how much they're valued as human beings. That input leads to belief. Now they believe they're worth something. And belief leads to attitude. Well, their attitude towards learning, their attitude towards themselves, their attitude towards you as a teacher, as an influence, leads to action. Action leads to results. I'm telling you right now, investing in time at the beginning of the school year in your students to show them that they are valued, part of your classroom, will pay off exponentially, I'll say it. I'll go ahead and say that, exponentially. I know that might not be correct to say it that way, but it's good. It pays off a lot. Anyway, the other thing is this. It's just like that Maya Angelou statement. Kids don't care what you know until they know that you care. That's a fact. So there's your tip for the day. Take that with however you want. And again, that's a clip out of a book from Shad Helmstetter, I think. Name of the book is What You Say When You Talk to Yourself. Self-talk is very powerful. Have an awesome day. See you tomorrow.